He thought it was just a joke, just another day to show off in front of the class. The black belt, a tall, cocky guy known for pushing limits during sparring sessions, had a habit of taking things too far. Today, his target was a new, quiet black woman named Maya who had recently joined the dojo. She was calm, respectful, and clearly serious about learning. But he didn't see that. All he saw was someone he thought he could humiliate in front of everyone. With a smirk, he locked her in a chokehold during what was supposed to be light training. Just fun, he laughed, even as Maya struggled to breathe. A few students looked uneasy, but no one spoke up. The instructor was distracted. For a moment, it felt like no one would stop him. But what happened next changed everything. Maya's eyes narrowed not with fear, but with focus. In a sudden, fluid move, she reversed the hold, flipping the script and the man to the mat in seconds. The room fell silent except for him. Now he was the one screaming, not from pride, not from play but from pain, and as he tapped the floor, begging her to release. Maya simply let go, stood up, and bowed quietly. This wasn't just a fight. It was a reminder that respect isn't earned by force and never taken by it. What he thought was fun became a lesson the entire class would never forget. After class ended, people whispered but no one approached Maya. She quietly wiped down her gear, her face calm, as if nothing unusual had happened. The guy she'd dropped, Marcus, stormed out without saying a word. His ego bruised more than his body. But beneath Maya's steady expression, something deeper was going on. That wasn't the first time she'd been underestimated, and it wasn't the first time a man had mistaken her silence for weakness. Maya had trained in martial arts for years. Before moving to this city, she'd studied under her grandfather back home, a master who taught her not just how to fight but when to fight. Her goal had never been to dominate, only to defend and grow stronger. But time and again, she found herself in spaces where she had to prove her worth, not because of her skill, but because of who she was. This new dojo wasn't any different. On the surface, it was welcoming. But some of the regulars, like Marcus, had their own quiet rules, unspoken hierarchies, and the moment Maya stepped onto the mat, she was marked not as a threat, but as someone to test, someone to put in her place. What they didn't know was Maya didn't come to play games. She came to sharpen her craft. Still, she hadn't expected to be challenged like that on her first week, and now, with the tension still thick in the air, she sensed this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Over the next few days, the atmosphere in the dojo changed. Some students nodded politely at Maya, but others avoided eye contact. Marcus didn't show up for 2 sessions straight, but when he finally returned, he was different, quiet, cold, and watching. During drills, he stayed across the room, but his eyes never left her. Maya could feel it. Every time she moved, stretched, or sparred, she felt the weight of his stare. Something was brewing, and it wasn't over pride alone. What most people didn't know was that Marcus had influence. He'd been training at the dojo for years, and was close with the instructor. Some even whispered he was being groomed to take over eventually. So when small things started changing, like Maya being paired with less experienced partners, or her training time being cut short, she noticed. It wasn't obvious, but it was happening. Meanwhile, another subplot quietly unfolded. A young girl named Leela, maybe 16, had started following Maya around after class. She was shy, but eager, always asking questions, always watching. Maya saw herself in the girl eager to learn, ignored by most, and fighting to belong. Leela confided one evening that Marcus had once made her quit sparring altogether, said she was too soft and not built for combat. Maya didn't say much, but her jaw tightened. The dojo was no longer just a training hall. It was a silent battleground, not just of fists and forms, but of respect, power, and quiet resistance. And beneath it all, the real fight was only beginning. It all came to a head during Friday's advanced sparring session. The dojo was packed more than usual. Word had clearly spread, and students who hadn't trained in weeks suddenly showed up. Even the instructor, usually laid back, wore a more serious expression. Maya felt at the moment she stepped onto the mat. Something was planned. Something silent, but heavy in the air. When match pairings were announced, Marcus's name echoed in the room, followed by Maya's. A few heads turned, some students looked down. Maya glanced at the instructor, no expression. Just a nod toward the mat. She walked forward without hesitation. Marcus was already bouncing on his heels. Gloves tightened, a grin on his face that didn't reach his eyes. The rules were simple, no full contact, keep it technical. But everyone knew how easily technical could turn real when tempers flared. From the first exchange, it was clear Marcus wasn't here to spar. He came to dominate. His strikes were hard, fast, calculated. Maya blocked, dodged, stayed calm, but the pressure kept rising. He wanted to push her, break her rhythm, make her react. Each move became sharper. The room got quieter. Even the instructor didn't call out the hits that were edging past the rules. Maya felt a sting in her shoulder, then a kick that nearly took her balance. Still, she didn't flinch. Leela watched from the back, eyes wide, fists clenched. The dojo was no longer just watching, they were waiting. Everyone sensed it. Something was about to break. Then it happened. Just as Maya regained her stance, Marcus lunged in, not with a legal move, but a shoulder slam that sent her stumbling back. Gasps rippled through the room. That wasn't sparring. That was personal. The instructor started to step forward, but hesitated. Marcus turned, smirking like he knew nothing would be said. And in that moment, Maya saw everything clearly. This match wasn't about skill or honor. It was about silencing her, in front of everyone. But before she could react, a voice cut through the tension. Enough. It was Leela. Everyone turned. She wasn't just watching now, she was marching toward the mat, shaking but fierce. "You're not supposed to fight like that," she said, loud and clear. "That's not karate," Marcus scoffed, brushing her off like she was a fly. "Stay out of this, kid." But Leela didn't back down. "You always do this. You push people around and call it training. You made me quit." You tried to humiliate her. "But you're not stronger, you're just scared." The room froze. Even Maya was caught off guard. No one expected this kind of bravery from the quietest student in the room. Marcus's face darkened, and he took a step toward Leela. At the time, Maya stepped between them. The energy shifted. This wasn't just Maya's fight anymore. It was everyone's fight against intimidation, against ego, against the silent rules that protected the wrong people. And now, with emotions high, and the whole dojo watching, there was no turning back. Maya stood still, her body between Marcus and Leela, eyes locked on his. The room was dead silent. For the first time, Marcus didn't move. He wasn't laughing now. Something in Maya's stance, come grounded, unshaken, told him this wouldn't end the way he wanted. She didn't raise her fists. She didn't need to. The instructor finally stepped forward. "This match is over," he said firmly, voice louder than usual. But Maya didn't step down just yet. "You let this happen," she said quietly, but everyone heard it. "He's not the only one who forgot what martial arts is about." The words hit harder than any strike. The instructor looked away, guilt flashing across his face. He nodded once, then turned to Marcus. "Take off your belt and leave the mat." Marcus blinked. "What? You broke the rules? You embarrassed this school. That's not what a black belt represents here." It wasn't a request. The silence stretched. Then Marcus tore the belt from his waist and threw it on the floor before storming out. The door slammed behind him. Everyone slowly turned to Maya and Leela. Some clapped, others just stared, unsure what to do with what they'd just seen. But the real twist came minutes later, when the instructor pulled Maya aside. "I spoke with the board last week. We're looking for someone new to lead the women's training program. Someone with discipline, someone who commands respect." He looked her in the eyes. "The job's yours if you want it." Maya smiled. "Finally, I came here to grow. Let's grow it right." The following weeks brought quiet but powerful change to the dojo. With Maya now leading the women's program, a new energy took hold. Students who once stood in the background, especially young girls like Leela, began stepping forward with more confidence. Respect wasn't just demanded anymore. It was earned, and given in return. The training became sharper, the environment safer, and for the first time, everyone felt like they truly belonged. Leela stayed after every class, growing faster, stronger, and more sure of herself. One evening, after a particularly focused sparring session, she pulled Maya aside and whispered, "Thank you for fighting back, and for not walking away." Maya simply smiled and handed her a fresh white belt. "The journey's just starting." For Marcus, he never returned. The instructor later admitted he'd ignored too much for too long, but watching how Maya handled not only the fight but the fallout changed his own approach to leadership. He started listening more, especially to voices that had gone unheard for too long. The dojo, once ruled by silent hierarchies and unspoken bias, became a place of real growth for everyone. Maya never needed to prove her strength again. She'd already done that the moment she chose discipline.